Episode 168. Thank you all for listening to episode 167, State Mandated Podcast. I am Gary here with my co-host,
Quarantine Bear.
Cody Bryant, back again.
He actually got away from the dumps and throwing out all that shit. Do you throw that shit just into the Maumee River when you're going and picking up waste?
Just in the Toledo side.
He really doesn't though, and thankfully they can't see our recording, so they don't know who you are. So that's good for us.
Thank God for aliases.
That's right. So thank you to Wes Anderson for Moments in Time. Check him out on Facebook, Wes Anderson Music. Give him a follow on Twitter. We apologize for any sound quality we may have. This is harder doing this mobily and trying to do it via phone or via Bluetooth. It just gets very difficult, so we apologize. We hope you all still tune in and listen to us. We're doing what we're told. We would like to think we're an essential podcast, but we probably not get away with that. Unless maybe I draft a letter with our logo on a letterhead. I bet you we can get away with it.
I have mine just in case. I can, copy and paste a few things if I need to.
Right. But the sound is much better when we're in person, and I like it much better. But we could be 6 feet apart, but I think Parrot would be about 4 feet from me, about 3 feet from Bear, and Bear would be about 4 feet from you. So if we do it without a Parrot, we would be okay. We can spread 6 feet out.
There you go.
All right. So, first I'll just thank Brandon, All Wear Clothing. Remember to buy local, especially now in these times. It's very hard to get out there, get what you need. But if you have some clothing is deemed essential. And you might not need it for a sports team, but you might need it for something else. So be sure to get in touch with Brandon, All Wear Clothing, allwearclothing.com. Again, buy local. He is in the White House area and serves all of Toledo and even more if you have needs. I know he can make arrangements to ship to you. As long as you are able to pay it, he can take card over the phone. Whatever you can do. Again, visit Brandon, allwearclothing.com. Now, so we have trivia. Bear, I know we didn't total the points. Do you have the updated totals on points?
So updated totals on points. Gray, 265. Cody Bryant, 214. Myself, 242. Parrot, 132. And Dub was 17.
and Dub is not with us on this one. And while we wait for Jeremy, I think he stepped away, so we can kind of mention a few things. Did you guys happen to see that ESPN was showing 3 WrestleManias? I think they were showing WrestleMania 30, 34, and 35, if I'm correct.
If that's the case, I want my $10.12 back.
12 cents? Mine's $10.71.
Yeah, mine's like $10.65 or something.
I'm getting ripped off.
How the hell are you only paying 12 cents in tax or 13 cents in tax?
I gotta look. I don't know. I don't pay attention. I owe $10 and something.
$10.71 WWE Network. And honestly though, like those WrestleManias, like you couldn't have picked better ones, really.
Right.
I would say, if you're really trying to get people to watch, those would be the last 3 I'd probably put on TV.
30 is okay. But and what they do, take up 18 hours a time with 34 and 35? Holy crap.
Yeah, I was that's a day's worth of programming each.
ESPN really needs programming at this rate.
Right.
Holy shit. Why don't you, they could have played, you could have played, WrestleMania 3. You could have got a whole bunch of older viewers, you could have played WrestleMania, 20 or something. You get,
I mean, I can understand why they did it because those are the most recent ones, but I don't know. I mean, 30 was probably the last time they had an actual storyline and built it. So,
Yeah. Wasn't just
I
random
figured
ass
you go
stuff.
at 30 at least.
I mean, 25 and 26 were both good ones. Oh,
Right.
Yep, and today we're going to talk about, a little bit later, talk about WrestleManias 1 through 18, and then next week, and actually there's rumor that they are recording WrestleMania 36. They're recording it between today and tomorrow. That is the rumor. So it will not be live. We'll see how true that is. And they said it's only essential people, so we'll see if it gets out. As long as wrestlers don't spoil it and Vince doesn't say anything, we will. It should be taped today, and hopefully no rumors come out and what happens, and we'll make our picks next week. So
yeah, we'll see.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Yeah, I don't either. Good luck to them for still doing it, not measuring the 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
All right, so Jeremy's ready.
Trying.
They are. And Jeremy's ready if you guys are ready. You guys ready?
Yeah. Ready.
All right. How many 24/7 title reigns has R-Truth had? Closest to the number gets 3 points.
Oh, damn.
All right, I'm going to plug mine. Hold on. Let me, I just plugged mine in. Go ahead.
Is it more or less than Crash Holly?
Who knows?
God. I'm going to say 33.
All right. I said 17, by the way.
I'm going to go 15.
15, Cody. All right, we'll see what we get back here. And gets 3 points, whoever gets closest. 35. Nice one, Bear. 35?
35.
Come on, baby. I was almost nailed that one in the head.
God damn, I thought I was over with 17.
Right?
I'm pretty sure there's a couple of shows where he won it a couple times.
But 35, God, that's so many.
35, dude. Like, come on, man. That might even be more than Crash Holly.
You know, Kyle Busch has more than than Brandon. Kyle Busch even has a title. Enos Cantor has a title.
Right?
Oh God. So that is hysterical.
I'm looking it up now.
Oh, so let me. You guys ready for the next one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before this, I'm gonna ask him a question because if you guys ask this question, I want to know. So I'll read the question to you, and okay. So which WWF, WWE, ECW, WCW, all of those championships has Vince McMahon held in his career, worth 2 points?
How many or which one?
Which ones? And I had to ask him specifically because it just said WWF/WWE, and I said, does everything WWE owns count? And he said yes.
We have to name the titles he's held.
Correct. I submitted my answers to him already, so we'll see if he comes back with it. And I got it right, so you guys can go ahead.
You want me to send it to you, or?
Type it in the do it in the text box here. Since we got the text box,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
just go ahead and put it in the text
Told you,
box.
man, it's a different.
I know we got to
I
get used to
actually
this.
have to use the conference call the right way.
Yeah, it's interesting when you're trying to use a conference call.
All right, I got mine in.
All right, we all had the same answer, so we all get 2 points. Bonus, though, we've got a bonus here. 3 points. Who did Vince McMahon defeat to win the ECW title?
Shoot.
I'm gonna say Bobby Lashley.
And that's
I have no idea.
Yeah, that's mine as well.
Yeah, I just spelled it wrong too.
And I'm going to tell him all have.
Bobby Lashley.
Yeah.
And so Bobby Lashley, Backlash 2007, handicap match with Umaga and Shane. So we all get 5 points on that one.
Yeah.
Good job to the team. All right. So
Joey Bryant. By the way, Crash Holly, 22-time hardcore champion. What? That's 22. That's it.
That's some bullshit. The greatest hardcore champion of all time. Overweight and all, man. Only super heavyweight hardcore champion.
all right, so we're gonna make this fun because now we have a chat box. So what he is asking us, and I got to click to the chat box here. Here we go. All right, let's end with WrestleMania question and the return of the Eliminator. There are 16 states in the USA to have held at least one WrestleMania. Name those states. Wrong answer gets you eliminated. Last person left gets 10 points. You guys randomize the order.
16 states have held WrestleMania.
All right.
I like it.
So let's go.
right.
Let's go random order. God, I don't know how to do random order here. Last person to drink a beer can go first.
I
haven't had a beer since the 100th episode, so.
Okay, then I guess it would be Bear, me, then you. So Bear, just type in the text box, and we'll put the answer there, and I will say them on air, and I will also write them to Jeremy as we enter them in.
All right. We don't get hit for spelling, do we?
Oh, you know what? I just thought about this. You can actually just say it because it does. Yeah, you can actually just say it.
Put him in the text box, damn it, so I can remember this.
Oh, yeah, okay.
In the chat box.
Damn it.
We can put him out there, but yeah, Massachusetts. Spelled wrong.
Yeah.
All right, so Massachusetts spelled wrong. That is correct. I got to type this shit twice now. I got New York in the text box. I'm going to put New York to Jeremy because this is a pain in the ass. All right, we've got Michigan from Cody Bryant.
Arizona, bub.
Arizona. Son of a bitch. Trying to type Arizona. And I got to...
We should just put Jeremy in the chat so he can see them all.
Yeah, just put him in the Google Hangout so he can see him. All right, I'm copying mine over that I typed into Jeremy. Louisiana. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Ooh, I like it. Illinois.
Hold on. Don't go too fast, damn it.
Okay, well, California for me because I know Illinois is right.
Oh, yeah.
What did you put, Bear?
We don't need him. I put California.
Okay.
We don't need him for some of these. We know these are right.
Yeah,
I can tell you which ones they are.
I know. I'm just texting them to him just so he has it as well. You can see mine of Texas.
That's 8, so we're halfway there.
We're halfway there. Oh! Living on a prayer.
Really? We got half of them left and you're struggling right now?
He said, no way you guys can keep this up. And I'm going to tell him we will. He says he doesn't think we can keep it up.
I gotta try to think them out in my head now.
Oh, boy.
Let's see. Because, I mean, they went back to the same state multiple times.
16 seemed like a lot.
Yeah.
You got to think, there's Canada in there, too. That's why 16 seems like quite a bit.
Right, because there were 2 in Canada.
He's not counting Canada, right?
Correct.
All right, just making sure.
All right. So they've had, let's see, 2 in Canada. What?
I feel like I'm...
There's 3 of them been in Florida.
What'd you just say?
Are you going to type it in, or are you just going to say
Yeah, you just going to say it or type it in?
I swore somebody put that.
No.
Nope. I was going to be, if you weren't going to put it, I was going to put it in there. Shit. I was like,
I saw somebody did it.
For this year.
Damn it. I'm hoping Bear
Indiana
does.
for everybody.
Hold on.
Hoosier Dome.
Yeah, Hoosier Dome.
So give me a second. I got to type yours in, and I've got mine in our box, but I got to go back and forth.
I don't know. 16?
16 sounds like a lot.
So how many do we got right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
11. Okay, you got Washington.
Yep, and he said correct, the best one.
So 12 to Cody Bryant.
Cody Bryant.
Let me see. God damn. All right, hold on. Let me see. How many are in California? 4 in California.
He's going
2, 21, 12.
He's going to right into another one.
Right.
There were 3 in Florida. Oh.
Right. I could have sworn somebody had typed it in.
I got
I'm
it.
trying to think. Well, there we go.
There you go.
There you go. That's 4 and 5.
That.
Yeah,
the ones that were at MetLife were in New Jersey.
It's doing MetLife.
Oh shit! I was thinking of 4 and 5 because those were Atlantic City, I think.
Correct.
Casino, wasn't it?
You're absolutely correct.
Right.
Yeah. So that's 3 of them. Here's mine: Nevada, WrestleMania 9 at Caesar's Palace.
There's mine.
Right. Atlanta.
So I'm typing these to him. I
So we're at what? 14.
think that's 14. We got 2 more.
There's no way.
Yeah, where else would they have had him?
There's no way there's 16 of them. He's got to be counting Canada. There's only 35
Right.
WrestleManias.
Right. And there's literally nowhere else to hold a WrestleMania outside those states.
You want me to ask him, are you sure there's... These are the
There's
tough...
one of 'em.
He says these are the tough 2. And you said only
was there?
U.S.
No. Hold on, let me think.
There's one WrestleMania I'm blanking on right now, and I don't want to say which one it is. They'll give it away. I won't give it away, but I don't want to. But I'm trying to think of it right now.
I just don't think, I can't think of them having one anywhere else that it would remotely be cold. That's not in a dome. 'Cause I can't think of any other WrestleMania.
Oh, I just got one. I don't think anybody said it.
4 and 5 in New Jersey, 6 was Canada, 7 was California, 8 was Indiana, 9 was Vegas, 10 was New York,
Or was 11?
11. What was 11?
That's on. I'm blanking on 11.
What was the main event at WrestleMania 11?
That was the stupid Bam Bam Bigelow and Lawrence Taylor. It was the worst WrestleMania ever.
Oh, okay. All right.
I can't tell you where it was at, though. That's the one I'm blanking
I know
on.
where that was at, and I'm waiting for Kode to type it in. Yep, fucker. Hartford.
New
Yep.
Haven, I think. Or Hartford, I think. Yeah, either Hartford or New Haven.
Oh.
You think 11 was the worst one ever?
Oh, yeah. WrestleMania 11 was bad.
I mean, 11 had Diesel and Shawn, though.
Yeah, but, like, that was it, though. Like, one match doesn't mean it's great.
Damn, that was the only match, too, wasn't it? Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
We at 13, or?
Yeah, we got one more. It's on you.
What? Oh, great.
Oof.
Right. I'm running through the Cody Bryant here. I think 12 was California.
Yeah, 12 was California. That's the backlot brawl.
Yeah, and Michael's Heart.
13 Illinois.
Correct.
Yeah, that was the Verizon.
Yeah.
14 was Boston.
14 was Boston. 15, I think, was California again. No.
It was not.
16 was
That was
California.
15.
I got 15 if Bear misses it.
Oh, shit.
Had to use the Cody Bryant ways of remembering what they are.
15,
That was Austin Rock.
14 was 98, so 15 is 99. It was Austin Rock.
Yeah.
First Austin Rock.
I'm typing my answer
For all
in.
years.
Yeah, I'm typing the answer in because
Got it. I got it. It was in Philly, so Pennsylvania.
there you go. Correct.
Yep. That was in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
He did not think we would get them all. No faith in us. Come on,
That was-
man.
That's the one where JR, it was fucking Cole and King, and JR came out for rocking
Right.
Stone Cold.
Yeah, for rocking Austin, yeah.
Philadelphia. Mm-hmm.
And Austin didn't have his vest. He came out in a t-shirt.
Yep.
So I'm gonna ask him. Do we all get 10 points then, since we ran the table again? He said, "Yeah, yes, you deserve it." You don't fuck with the wrestling podcast.
So we all get 10 points then?
We each get 10.
All right.
He said next time I'll have to ask where all the WWE superstars of wrestling were filmed as a challenge.
Oh, God, I won't know that one. Please don't.
Yeah, no. And he said during this drought, he's enjoying watching Kenny Omega's career. Topic is, are there any very under the radar, not that Kenny was, but he wasn't a household name because of WWE, of course. They're, not WWE fandom. But wrestlers that you know of, the listeners should all look up and watch some videos on. He watched an old special one time. Can't remember what Fed he was in, but Nick Bockwinkel was absolutely incredible. Like amazing ahead of his time. So check out some Nick Bockwinkel clips and be prepared to be amazed. That's all. Have a good one, guys. So anybody under the radar that people may not know about that you think they should know about?
I mean, I wouldn't say under the radar, but if people want to look some stuff up, go back and watch some older matches, like, Harley Race, Ric Flair, matches that most people aren't going to be watching or seen. Definitely
Von
gotta go
Erich.
back.
Yeah, watch
Yeah.
any, world class, man. Watch those Von Erichs versus the Freebird tag matches.
You can find some good stuff. You search on the WWE Network because they have a little bit of it.
They got it all. And like Hacksaw Jim Duggan from Mid-South, or Ted DiBiase Mid-South.
Yeah, and even what, guys
Friggin'
guys nowadays, young kids nowadays wouldn't know about Vader and how mobile Big Van Vader was back in the day.
right. Yeah, watch WCW Vader.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we can't do that on the network, but I mean, you can get New Japan World and watch New Japan Vader.
I mean, Ricky Steamboat, another good one that people probably don't realize.
Steamboat, Rick Rude. Matter of fact, watch their Iron Man. Well, I don't even think it was an Iron Man match. They called it, but it was a 30-minute time limit match with Rick Rude and Ricky Steamboat. Like, watch that match.
Absolutely.
I mean, honestly, like WCW in the early to mid '90s, like their pay-per-view, you know, like the main events were underrated, really. I mean, you think about the guys that were in those main events, you know, Barry Windham and Sting.
Old school Terry Funk.
Yeah, old school Terry Funk.
Old school Terry Funk.
Right.
And you can even tell guys now that are just learning about Jericho. Like, watch Jericho back in the late 80s, early 90s, and even mid-90s in WCW before he came to WWF.
Right. Or even, I just got reminded of it last night from watching Dark Side of the Ring, the Kevin Sullivan, Chris Benoit feud.
Oh, my God.
I mean, granted, you're not supposed to talk about Chris Benoit, but
we can do whatever the fuck we want.
Yeah, I mean, just about any Chris Benoit match.
I mean, his matches are phenomenal.
Yeah.
And
It's been 13 years.
So I know we haven't really talked about it yet. And Bear, I know you watched it. Cody, have you seen the new Dark Side of the Ring yet? The Chris Benoit, the first two?
Oh yeah, I stayed up late to make sure I watched it last night.
I have not seen it yet, but I will let you guys go ahead and talk about it. What'd you guys think?
I just finished it before the podcast. I'll tell you what, it is very emotional.
Yeah, for sure. I think, and this is only part one. Yeah.
Well, Bear,
if you don't get tears at some point watching that, you got a problem.
And Bear, you watched part 1 and 2, right?
Yeah, I just watched them both today. I caught up a little bit on the first season just to get back into it, and I just watched them today. And yeah, they were very, very good. It's crazy the amount of information that's in there and the amount of the information they give you and all that. Jericho is the Jericho hosts it pretty much.
Yeah, he's
and
a narrator.
obviously they talk with his kid David, Nancy Benoit's sister. Both of them, like you said, get very emotional. Dean Malenko, Chavo, because the first part of it is a little bit about Eddie, and that's where it got me. When Chavo, I didn't know the whole, and I'm not going to go into it. I didn't know the whole Chavo backstory, but I mean, Chavo found Eddie, and he died in his arms. I had no idea that happened.
I didn't know.
To my knowledge, it was always Eddie died in his hotel room, and they found him. No, he was still alive and died in Chavo's arms. That's crazy.
Holy shit! I didn't know that either, Bear.
Yeah, see, me, like the wrestling nerd that I am, like a lot of this stuff, it was, a nice reminder of, and I think they did a really good job of humanizing Chris Benoit to where it's not, not patronizing, or to the point where it's kind of almost like a parody. Kind of like with. Besides that dick at the end, the dude that wrote the book, everyone else. That Randazzo book guy. I actually bought that book. He's the fifth. Anyone who's the fifth, I just can't trust him. I get you. Yeah, like I have that book. You can be the third. That's okay. Right. Yeah, no, dude, that book, I read it, and it's basically, like, it starts off okay, and it kind of gives you a little backstory, and then it just turns into, like, him just bashing any and everybody he could. Yeah, I did not, that's the only part I didn't like, and it got a little bit, I get it, you have to do it, I mean, he did what he did, but, yeah, I mean, they did humanize him, and they did do all that, and there's journal entries, and talked with his dad, and all that stuff. I mean, pretty much after Eddie died, that was it. He wrote his thing. Right. It was going to happen. Yeah. It's unfortunate. Obviously, everything's unfortunate that happened.
and it's sad, and he'll never get into the Hall of Fame. It'll never happen.
Well, Ring of Honor. We'll just call it that. We'll call it the WWE Ring of Honor.
Yeah, just for the distraction purposes of what it may cause.
Right.
But
right.
Yeah, it's one of those things that it was an amazing 2-part documentary. There's no doubt about it. And Gary and we were talking before this started, actually, on the next ones that are coming up, and those Dark Side of the Rings, I mean, are just fantastic. Just fantastic. I only caught one of them, so I got to watch them all here in the last 3 days, pretty much. Besides, the Macho Man was the first one I watched, and then didn't watch anything since then. But
man, you missing out.
The screw job.
I watched them all. I'm all caught up now.
Good, yes, they were all good. Screw job was good. Killing a Bruiser Brody was good. Gorgeous Gino, Moolah, and Von Erichs? Was that the other one?
Von Erich. That one was crazy.
That one was sad. That was sad.
And now we got Benoit.
It's kind of nuts, though, it's nuts how Kevin Von Erich's kid looked just like Harry. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Yes, it is. And we just had the Benoit Part 1 and 2. I know we've got New Jack, The Life and Crimes of New Jack, Brawl for All, Jimmy Snuka, right? Jimmy Snuka, Death of His Girlfriend, Assassination of Dino Bravo. It has subjects: Dave Schultz, Herb Abrams, Owen Hart, and Over the Edge. I'm looking forward to that one because you guys know I'm a big Owen Hart fan, and the Road Warriors. That'll be good. So I'm sure we're going to learn quite a bit on the Owen Hart one. I'm looking forward to that. And just so you guys know, this show actually holds a 100% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Good. It should. It should. It's a lot of knowledge. It's not very biased. It's a lot of good knowledge. But the one I'm most looking forward to, is Dino Bravo. That one is going to be kind of like the Dino Hernandez. It's going to be awesome, I think, with what you're going to learn.
And I think the Dino Bravo will probably be the best one.
Yes.
Because that's one of the few, between Dino Bravo and Gino Hernandez, those are the two that I never really knew that much about. Only because it happened, pretty much when, we were all kids. So it's not like you had all that information at hand. And I think that's why this Dark Side of the Ring is that great, because it has all the information without a bias in one place. And you get it all at one time.
Right.
The Von Erichs you kind of had to piece together over the years. Even with Bruiser Brody, you had to piece that one together kind of over the years from different people that were actually willing to talk about it.
Right. And then last year, Dutch Mantle, or Zeb Coulter for most people, recently, he was the narrator last year of 5 of the 6 episodes. Mick Foley narrated the one with Killing a Bruiser Brody. This year it's all Jericho, as we talked about. So the highest rated episode last year had 0.23 million viewers, was the Von Erich episode, and this year Benoit's is already at 0.32. So quite a few more, pretty good. So, and I think it is the highest watched show on Vice, which doesn't surprise me, which is great. So that 0.32 in millions, so that would be 320,000 people to me, if I'm understanding that correctly. And then last year, the biggest episode was 230,000. So they already gained 90,000. That's great. And I think as more wrestling fans, there are several out there, definitely check out this show. I remember we first heard about it last year when we were around episode 69, 70, something like that. We had mentioned this show. We watched it. Match Made in Heaven was really good, about Randy Poffo and Elizabeth, of course. And then the Montreal Screwjob was great. They showed footage that a lot of people haven't seen. And if you haven't listened to Broken Skull podcast, like we had talked about last week, or I don't think we talked about it last week. Maybe we did, maybe we didn't. But definitely watch the Bret Hart on the Broken Skull podcast. And we did talk about it because we talked about Kane being on it in the Undertaker Big Show. Did you guys see? Go ahead, sorry.
No, I haven't seen the Bret Hart one yet. But, really to get everything you probably would want to know about that Montreal Screwjob, I would say watch Dark Side of the Ring, but then also watch the Hitman Hart documentary, that Wrestling with Shadows.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, you watch that. that gives you more. You kind of get more of the story in the Wrestling with Shadows documentary than you do anything WWE produced.
And definitely watch, like I said, watch the Broken Skull. They cover the Montreal Screwjob quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Very
it's
good.
Sad because it sucks. That's what Bret Hart's career is kind of reduced to.
I know it's absolutely terrible.
Montreal Screwjob.
Well, you know what happened with that. Brett screwed Brett.
Right.
Oh, God. So, another thing, I don't know if you guys saw the preview. I think I tagged you guys in it. Big Show's new show on Netflix actually looks pretty damn good.
Yeah, I saw. I saw a little bit of preview on it, and it did look pretty good. I may have to check that out.
He's funny, and it looks like it's going to be pretty good. It's on Netflix, I think, April 6th, so definitely check that out. So let's go on to some other things. I wanted to cover Dark Side of the Ring. Did you guys happen to see that Vince McMahon is selling part of his stake in WWE, and he's doing it through Morgan Stanley, and so the shares have gone down 5%, which is not bad considering how much shares have fallen recently. But the bank is lining up buyers on behalf of WWE's chief executive officer for 2.26 million shares at a price range of $37.75 to $38.25 each. And that's a discount of as much as 3.3% compared to Tuesday's closing date. And the share sale follows a 40% decline in the stock this year. And amid shutdowns of the events to stop the spread of the coronavirus, McMahon's XFL Football League also canceled the remainder of the season last Friday.
Yep, I did see that. Not surprising, honestly. I mean,
Beginning of the end.
I don't think so. Never the beginning of the end for Vince. He's got plenty of money. It's just a hard time right now. I'm sure he did the same thing back in the 90s and early 2000s, too. So
It's hard times.
We're going to have Amazon Wrestling Entertainment in a minute.
So it'd be
right.
AWE instead of AEW.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm just calling
WWA.
Aw. And to go back, the WrestleManias that ESPN is showing, it was WrestleMania 30 on the 22nd. This episode will come out on the 29th, which would be, is that Sunday? Yeah, that's Sunday. So that would be WrestleMania 32. And then April 5th will be WrestleMania 35 at 3 p.m., which is also, I believe, on a Sunday. So it'll be before WrestleMania starts. All right, so like I said earlier, supposedly they were covering on Monday, this past Monday. So I guess this would have been, since people are going to listen to this on the 29th, actually it would have been Sunday. So a week ago, they would have done future episodes of NXT. On Monday and Tuesday of this past week, they were doing Raw episodes for the 23rd and the 30th. And then on the 25th, which we're actually recording on the 25th right now, they're doing WrestleMania Night 1. And tomorrow they're going to be doing WrestleMania Night 2, which is actually a few days ago for those that are listening to this. And it's closed doors, so we'll see how many spoilers actually get out. Usually they find a way to get them out, so we'll see what happens.
But who's going to get these spoilers out? The janitor?
Yeah, no shit, right? One thing, I told this to Bear earlier.
I won't be able to get them.
Right. I won't
be able to get them. We don't have any crews down there.
That's funny as shit. I told Bear this, so I want you to hear this too. I was laughing my ass off. So this was WWE Creative Humor. WrestleMania will take place in the Performance Center in Orlando with no audience. AJ Styles. It'll be like I'm back at the Impact Zone.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
Fantastic shit.
Damn.
So, and I'm sure you've seen that Ricochet kind of shaved off his beard. So he looks like a baby again. And then also we mentioned in the past that he wants to go back to NXT because he's not being booked on Raw after he got buried, which is terrible. He got buried and after Brock, and then he's been buried since. I know we know Rob Gronkowski.
Yeah, he caught the squid off.
Yeah, and Rob Gronkowski is going to be the host of WrestleMania, so that should be interesting.
I don't know. I guess.
Right. Bear.
I don't really think Gronkowski, like, he's funny, but I don't think he's entertaining funny, you know? He's just, like, class clown funny.
Right. So before we go into the next thing, I want to thank a few more sponsors. So, of course, I want to thank Verizon. Verizon's a true technology business partner, helps local businesses deploy technologies that impact operations and can positively impact operations and increase revenue for the company. At Verizon, we do not wait for the future.
We build it.
Get in touch with the sales rep in your area, Verizon.com. Thank you to Cassandra at PNC. You can visit her. Actually, don't visit her since you're self-quarantined, and it could be deemed essential, but I think it'd be safer if you call her. Give her a call, 419-877-0634. She can help with all of your banking needs like she helped me with mine. Again, Cassandra, PNC, 419-877-0634. And, of course, we got to thank Crandall's Quality Landscaping, who is deemed essential to take care of your lawn mowing needs. And you can give them a call, 419-704-5471. Bear's going to tell me when to stop, but he serves the Toledo and surrounding area and not.
Now.
Ireland. He serves the Toledo and surrounding area and not Ireland. So thank you, Sean, Crandall's Quality Landscaping. All right, so do we have, Bear, do we have anything from Jason?
Yes, we do. Shockingly, I think. Maybe not that shocking.
Well, take it away whenever you're ready.
Let's see. All right. Let's see how many questions. 7 questions.
Oh, shit.
Ooh. You must have been bored today. Question number 1. Is podcasting and quote-unquote essential business?
Well, as we talked about earlier, if we can... we'll get the logo, throw it on a nice, make it a nice, kind of header, and make it for a letter for us, make it a nice header. And I guess we could. We are deemed an essential podcast, and we can get it done. So I think we are. Cody?
Yes.
Yeah, if we're here, it's essential.
We are essentially separated right now, but we're making it happen. Thank God for technology.
Yeah, no shit. I've got
Number 2.
I've got 2 damn laptops and 2 monitors going right now to keep this thing afloat.
There you go. Number 2. Yes or no? Should Trump hire Paul Heyman to be his mouthpiece?
Yeah.
Trump would just stand there in his normal face, glaring into the camera, and Heyman would address the nation.
Hell yes. And
I think that they would never vote Trump out of office if Heyman just talked.
right.
It worked for Curtis Axel and Ryback.
Yeah, no shit. Did not. And funny thing, I don't know if you guys saw. Did you guys happen to see that lady that I can't remember what she does or what she is, but she came and talked. She's like, you got to separate yourself. I separated myself over the weekend. I had a fever, and Trump's looking all weird. And when she said she had a fever, he's like, uh-oh, and walked away.
He just left. He just walked away.
Said uh-oh and walked away. I was laughing my ass off.
I could just see it now too. My point, Donald Trump. He says everybody stay home. The economy will be okay by Easter. Our rating defending President of the United States of America.
Donald Trump. And I don't know if did you guys see that thing? I was watching it earlier. Paul Heyman was talking to an audience, and he was talking about how Brock Lesnar came about in OVW, and Paul, somebody had came and talked to him and said, work with Brock, and Brock was listening. Like Arn Anderson was telling him shit, and other people were telling him stuff, like the old timers. And somebody said, you need to talk to Paul. And Paul, talked to him, he wanted out of OVW, all this, and Paul went to Vince and talked about what he wanted him to do. He said the next big thing, and he's like, that's a stupid name. And so he said, Vince is right about a lot of stuff, but this one, I was right. And so found it very interesting that that's how Paul got really linked up with Brock. And he talked about Brock when he tried out for the Vikings, and he ran that 100-yard dash in like Olympic qualifying time, and he had a torn groin, and I think he'd just broken some ribs and some other shit. It was insane. Definitely check anything out Paul Heyman does. Paul Heyman talks about. He's amazing. He's a smart man in the business, and he always has. And he's just fun to listen to.
Yeah, Paul. I mean, he's great. He's a great mouthpiece, and he's good for the business. Even though he didn't pay ECW wrestlers for like 3 years, he's good for the business.
Yes, he is.
All right, question number 3. Oh boy, this is a long one. All right. While we were on politics, I heard Linda McMahon got money from the stimulus package to cover the cost of the WWE Network sharing all of their previous WrestleManias for free. Did you hear the same thing? If not, my conspiracy on that is WWE has hired an informant to exclusively listen to your podcast. The informant reported to Vince that on last week's podcast, Parrott said he was too poor to get the network, therefore he couldn't watch the WrestleManias that you guys were suggesting to him. Vince said, the Parrott, you mean Coco's Parrott, give him free WrestleManias or you're fired.
I'm not even going to answer that. That's fucking great. I love the storytelling.
Ooh, that was a long-winded one. I need a drink. Hold on a second. Let me get off this Jim Beam Peach here. Oh.
And I don't know if I believe I don't know if I think Linda stepped down from the Small Business Administration, being the administrator of that. Isn't she the head or the chairperson of one of Trump's super PACs?
That I do not know.
Here we go. I just looked into it. So her resignation was last year, a year ago, in April. And then on April 15th, tax day, she was named chairwoman of America First Action, a pro-Trump super PAC.
Interesting. Very interesting. I did not know that. Well, good for Linda. I mean, I was happy when she got that. She's probably the smartest one of them all.
Look, if you have your computer open, go look at her picture on Wikipedia. That's all I'm going to say.
Linda McMahon's?
Yes. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, you got to check that out.
She looks good.
Right.
Pretty hot. For 71.
71 years old.
Vince got married in 1966. Oof.
They've been married forever.
My goodness.
So what, 50?
Well,
50?
we know what Stephanie will look like when she gets that old.
Yeah, no shit.
She looks like that right now.
54.
That's what she looks like.
They've been married 54 years. Linda's gone through a lot of shit with Vince. Because he's the genetic jackhammer.
That's a real ride or die right there. All right, here we go. Number 4. Too bad we don't have Dub on this one. If Brandon were still around, do you think his favorite AEW wrestler would be the main masked guy from the Dark Order?
The main masked guy?
The main masked guy from the Dark Order. I think Brandon... No, there's no super heavyweight, so I don't know who Brandon's favorite would be.
Yeah, because now it's Brody Lee is the leader.
He's the exalted one.
Yeah. You got Stu Grayson's there, right? Who else is in there?
The Dark Order is the Evil Uno guy, Brody Lee, and then 2 other guys that I never knew of before now. But they're pretty good wrestlers, though.
Yeah, Stu Grayson, of course. Who knows?
All right, here we go. Number 5. Is it just me, or would the best new finisher name be the COVID-19? Think about it. AJ Styles hits the COVID-19 on Taker at WrestleMania. Awesome.
You watch. That's going to happen now.
How do you set that move up, though? Like, how do you set that move up? You sit in the corner for 2 weeks?
And then cough on them, and that's it. You're done.
Yeah.
Well, I saw that what was it? GCW did. They were doing some socially distant wrestling moves.
Yeah.
It's hysterical. You got to check that out.
Taker's about elderly anyway, so he can't be getting right. He won't have to make it.
He might literally become the dead man then.
Number 6. Everyone has been making fun of Cody's neck tattoo. What are your thoughts on his new look?
Well, he put it. If you guys just saw, he has it on his damn jacket with his name on the right and the damn tattoo on the left.
I'm still not a fan of the tattoo. I like his look. I'm just not a fan of the tattoo.
Right.
I like the tattoo. I don't like where it is.
Well, I like the tattoo. Yeah, if he wouldn't have put it on his neck, it'd be dope. But
yeah, neck tattoo is kind of kill the vibe.
Yeah. I mean, we know you. It's like, damn, Cody, we know you travel around, but you don't have to look like you live in the same vehicle you travel in.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, last question, number 7. Here we go. This one is for Gary. Gary, if you were to be quarantined for multiple weeks and was able to select spending that time with one of your co-hosts, to whom would that be? Ooh, we put you on the spot.
Parrot, I'd have to lend a shitload of money, so not him. Bear and I would he doesn't have kids and he would get sick of that. So I'm going to have to go with Cody because he has kids and he gets the problems I deal with because he's got a wife, but I got an ex-wife. And so he's living the same life I am, so he would understand what I'm going through. No offense to any of my co-hosts, but it'd have to be Cody Bryant because of that reason.
That's right. And we spent that 24 hours straight in a car, what?
Oh, my God. When I almost wrecked us in fucking BG. I remember, Bear, I was driving down the street. We just got to BG, so we're almost back from fucking Louisiana from WrestleMania 30, and I almost kill us on 75 in Bowling Green. Cody's like, God damn, man, you can't fall asleep now?
And this is after we survived a tornado. You know, we drive through a tornado and almost die hitting a freaking cement divider on 75.
What is it with Gary not being able to, or no, I shouldn't say not being able to. He's a good driver. I'll give him that. Always running into weird weather situations when we're out. What's up with that?
Dude, it's terrible, buddy.
The blizzard after Raw in Columbus.
Oh, it is. It's bad. And Parrot's been with me, and we've come into some crazy shit. Like we blew a tire on our way to West Virginia on the truck, just sliced the tire and it goes down, and it was brutally windy that day. Justin on the Twitter was with us, and Clay from the Grown Ups was also with us. And then we got hit by a deer from that rescheduled show with Luke Bryan, the farm tour. We got hit by a deer. Just the craziest shit happens. I think it's Final Destination for me, but it's like I'm on Final Destination like 12 now. I just survive every one of them. Knock on wood.
Yeah. Just keeps passing along.
So that was the last one from Jason, right?
Yes.
So speaking of last ones, we got the last one from Jason, and if you want the last one for you in your dating life, get in touch with Connell Barrett, datingtransformation.com.
Even in this coronavirus quarantine world we're living in right now, Connell Barrett, datingtransformation.com. He can do consultations probably via Skype, or I'm sure maybe Google Hangout or any sort of way you can get online. He is officially quarantined in New York City, so he will not be able to go out anywhere until all this is passed. He's taking his precautions and the correct precautions, as we all should. But, you can't get the coronavirus over Skype. So I'm sure that you get a consultation that way, and I know that he can make it work via Skype or through FaceTime or whatever kind of crazy media that you can talk with each other, or over the phone like, the old-fashioned way. So give him a look up if you're lonely in this quarantine time and you got no one to share it with. Connell Barrett, datingtransformation.com.
What if you're trying to be lonely and it's not working?
Oh, I wish I could be lonely. That's the best. I live my life in quarantine. I don't want to go outside.
I'm trying.
So you'd have to get in touch with Barrett Connell at fuckdating.com.
I just want to sit inside and watch every WrestleMania ever.
Ooh, no, you don't.
Well, yeah, not 11, but all the rest of them. Remember if it's Bruce or if it's JR, but one of them are doing it. I think it's JR. I think Bruce is doing WrestleMania 11, and I left a question saying, be honest, is this the worst WrestleMania ever?
Oh, WrestleMania 11?
Top 5.
All right.
No, top 5 words.
All right. So
okay, I was about to say.
All right. Well, let's talk about that. So we said last week we discussed WrestleManias 1 through 18. So we can we had some ones in the middle. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna talk about our top 3 for us, and it doesn't have to be just because it was our favorite. If it meant something to wrestling, how it changed wrestling, any of those types of things, and why you feel it was important. I will kick us off because this didn't come up with many people, and there are many reasons that I value this one. But I'm going to talk about WrestleMania 12. I know it's not one of the favorites of many people. That's the Iron Man match with Bret and Shawn, and me, of course, being a Shawn Michaels fan growing up. This was a big deal for me because he won his first heavyweight title, WWF Heavyweight Championship, in the 60-minute Iron Man match. Of course, went into overtime. They were 0-0. He won in sudden death with the sweet chin music and pinned him for the 1-2-3. Also had one of the most, at the time, iconic entrances into a WrestleMania, just flying from the top of the rafters all the way in. Very important. We saw the return of Ultimate Warrior, which was trash, but this was the first WrestleMania for Triple H, or Hunter Hearst Helmsley, who was escorted by her first appearance, Sable. And we also saw, of course, Mark Marrow come over from WCW when he was Johnny B. Bad. Did he come over then, or did he go to WCW later? I think he came over from then as Johnny B. Bad, and he was Mark Marrow in WWF, correct?
Yeah, he came over from WCW.
That's what I thought. And then, of course, I mean, for me, it's important because, like I said, it was the first WrestleMania for Triple H, first WrestleMania for Sable. Stone Cold, I believe it was his first WrestleMania as well, right? I believe it was.
I believe so, yeah. He was on the free-for-all.
Yeah, he was Stone Cold. He beat Savio Vega. He was with Ted DiBiase. He had the $1 Million Belt, Cody Bryant's favorite.
Yeah.
And Warrior, kind of a joke. It was only a 1.5-minute match. And, they've asked Paul Levesque, Triple H, about that, how he feels about that whole thing going down. And he said, hey, I got to be in the ring with one of the most recognized people in the past. So we know what Triple H went on to do. Taker and Diesel. Yeah, he did. Taker and Diesel, I actually liked. Usually I would hate it. I went back and watched it. I liked it better than I thought I would.
That was probably the best match on the card.
I did like...
Michaels and Bret Hart.
But there's so many... I mean, if you're not into technical wrestling for 60 minutes and nothing really happened but a lot of waiting... Right. Jeremy made a good point about it. He's like, when you watch it, let me know what you think. And so now I'm going to tell him what I think. He was right. There's a lot of times when they're just holding holds for a long period of time. And I get it, but it was an amazing match.
That's the only bad part.
Right.
Yeah, that was the only bad part about the Iron Man match. It wasn't what everybody, kind of hoped it would have been, or at least what it should have been. What it should have been was 60 minutes technical wrestling, one of the best matches ever, and then really what you get is arguably maybe 12 and a half minutes of action.
Right. And what was on Free For All that day, because it's not on the WWE Network on WrestleMania 12, was the Body Donnas. So Skip and Zip with Sonny beat the Godwins, Henry O. Godwin, and Phineas Godwin, Pig and Hog, which I remember several episodes ago I realized that's what it was. That was on Free for All, and then so the first match on the card was actually Bulldog Owen Vader with Cornette beat Ahmed Johnson, Jake Roberts, and Yokozuna. I thought that was actually more fun than I anticipated of a match. Roddy Piper and Goldust, that whole thing still just cracks me up. The Hollywood back brawl in the back and in the back lot, I found it hysterical, and they bring it, of course, to the ring. When because Goldust hit Piper, like with the damn car, legit hit him. And then Piper, when they're pulling up to the arena, pulls up the car next to the gold Cadillac. I was laughing my ass off because I forgot about that shit. I haven't watched that WrestleMania in years.
Oh yeah, and then they used the footage from the OJ chase.
Yeah.
When they're coming back to the arena,
yeah.
Which I thought was funny. That was hilarious.
Yep, I thought that was great. So this is 2 years removed from that whole situation, because that was 94, right, with OJ?
Yeah, yep.
And this was 96. So anyway, that was the one that was always big to me, and probably most important to me, being a Michaels fan for one. The beginning of Triple H's first WrestleMania, Stone Cold's first WrestleMania, Sable's first WrestleMania, Taker beat Diesel, of course, and then just the match, to understand wrestling and storytelling, just knowing the story behind Shawn and Brett, and then just going back and watching it and seeing what Shawn was then, like a cocky, arrogant prick. And, he's the baby face, and to see how good Brett was, and like I said, listen to Broken Skull, and he talks about how he never hurt anybody, and you could see some of the things Brett did. He was so technical and so good at what he did that he never hurt a wrestler, and just very impressive. So that was always an important one to me. Bear, go ahead.
This isn't our top, is it? Are we doing one down, or are we doing three up?
I'm just doing I'm just going in random orders. I'm just saying, this one wasn't necessarily my favorite one or the best one to me. This was the one that was, I feel, one of the most important that gets overlooked. And it was most important for me as a kid because Michael won his first title. But I think the importance of Stone Cold's first WrestleMania, Triple H's first WrestleMania, those things of importance of this WrestleMania.
If you really wanted to do that, if I had to pick that one, the most underrated-ish kind of, or one that kind of falls under the radar but is important, it would be WrestleMania 1, because it's the first one, and the production was so shit on it, but it was actually a pretty good card, and it was put together fairly well, except for the wrestlers walking in front of Lord Alfred Hayes every time he did interviews, which I thought was hilarious. I think that one would be on the gets overlooked, underrated category. People don't talk about enough. But to kick it off, and the card that it was actually was very good. I was very impressed with that one.
Yeah, and then there was only a few matches on that one. Was that the one that was? I don't remember. I have not watched WrestleMania 1 through 4 in the longest time. Was that the one? Was the first one in many different areas, or was that another one?
That was 2, wasn't it? Yeah, 2.
2? Okay. Where was 1 at?
2 was one was in Madison Square Garden.
Okay.
And 2 they had in L.A., Chicago, and I want to say New York as well.
Correct. But it wasn't at the Garden. It was at another New York location.
Yeah. Yeah.
And 1 was the main Hogan and Mr. T, that one?
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Against Piper and Orndorff?
Orndorff. Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah. And that's back when WrestleMania, where the whole card would last less than one match at WrestleMania now.
Pretty much.
Nice. What about
Pretty
you?
Much.
What about you, Cody? Underrated, or where you see significant importance out of the WrestleManias 1 through 18?
To me, it's a tie. I had to look up the card again. To me, it's a tie between. I'm gonna break it. Fuck it. I'm gonna go WrestleMania 8. I would say WrestleMania 8 is an underrated WrestleMania. I mean, you have, it's in the Hoosier Dome, which, they managed to fill up, and it was their first, it was 2 years removed from Sky Dome. So, and I mean, after all the poor ticket sales from WrestleMania 7, and then be able to bounce back with at least everybody thought it was going to be Hogan and Flair, but it turned out to be, Savage and Flair for the WWF title, which I think is an underrated match. You had that storyline with Flair and Savage to where it was, it was personal. A lot of people could relate to that. So, that was a really good match.
Is that when Brett won did Brett win the Intercontinental title there?
Yeah, this was that Bret Hart Roddy Piper match.
Okay. I couldn't remember who he beat for it, but I remember he won the title.
Underrated.
Who?
I don't know why a lot of people don't talk about that match being one of Bret's, best matches, and Piper's for that matter.
Right. And
that's one of their best matches that they've had, at least to me. And you have, WrestleMania 7, this was Shawn Michaels' first WrestleMania as a single. So you kind of got to see, kind of what he would be.
Yeah, I think he's only like
Robert.
With many people, I think Michaels is only like 5-10, even tag team or not. He's 5-10 at WrestleMania.
Right. Yeah. It's crazy. They call him Mr. WrestleMania, and he has a losing record. Wild.
It is, but that tells you how big of a draw he was there, and what the matches he puts on at WrestleMania.
Right. I mean, it just kind of shows you what kind of where he started at. Where he started with his first WrestleMania and him and Tito Santana. And then this was, it was Jake Roberts. It was his last WrestleMania. And this was the last time he was on WWF TV for, about 6 years? 5, 6 years?
Right.
And then when he came back, just the card itself, man, you can't really go wrong. You had the Natural Disasters, for what they were. For what they were as a big tag team, they were big guys, but they can move, though. Against DiBiase and IRS. You had Owen Hart going up against Skinner. And then you have the return of the Ultimate Warrior, that match with the Hulk Hogan Sid Justice match. Sid Justice as a heel was, amazing. And to have Ultimate Warrior return at the end of that match, I think it's just, I don't know, to me it's one of the more underrated WrestleManias, just because a lot of people only really remember the return of the Warrior. And, you have Jake Roberts' last match. You see pretty much more or less the beginning of, you kind of seen what The Undertaker was like. So it's more or less the beginning of his streak. You see what Shawn Michaels was made of. You got to see the kind of matches that Bret Hart could put on his own as a single. And you got to see what Owen Hart could do. Because he was more or less a single, his first singles match at WrestleMania around this time too. So it's just one of my favorites, and to me, I think it's more underrated. I still have that WrestleMania on VHS tape.
No shit.
Yeah.
All right, so give me a match from WrestleManias 1 through 18. Not necessarily. Don't take it from your top two. Well, your top two WrestleManias that we'll talk about, but just give me one match that you think out of WrestleMania 1 through 18 that's not from your favorites that you think people should go back and watch.
Rock Hogan.
I like that.
18 is not in my top. I think 18 is done. Rock Hogan was the only thing really that saved that. All the other matches were just kind of blah. Even Triple H and Jericho, blah.
Yeah.
Stone Cold and Scott Hall, blah. It was not It was not very good. So Rock Hogan, I mean, the crowd, that should have been the main event. The crowd, I mean, was so hyped for that. I think the women's championship match followed, and then it was Triple H Jericho. No one cared after that. They blew their load. They literally blew their load on Rock Hogan.
Do you have any?
It was amazing.
Do you have any others that you think as well?
Dude, it's so many that you could choose between, that and between 1 and 18. I mean, you could go Bret Hart, Steve Austin at 13.
That was one of mine.
Bret Hart, Roddy Piper at 8.
I had Owen.
Savage Flair.
I had Owen and Bret.
Owen at 10.
I had Owen and Bret at 10, and Razor and HBK at 10 as well.
Savage at 3.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, I had 2 from 10. 10's not in my favorites, but Razor and Shawn in the ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship, and then, like you said, Owen and Bret.
Undertaker Flair at, was it 17?
Is 17 not in your top 2?
What's that?
Is 17 not in your top 2 of these WrestleManias 1 through 18?
No, it's not.
Damn.
Yeah. 17 was good. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't in my top. My top is WrestleMania 8. And then my number 2, and it's mainly just because of, sentimental reasons, is WrestleMania 6.
All right, well, tell me why WrestleMania 6.
That's only because it was my first WrestleMania.
Okay.
And, and then that's the first time Hogan gets beat clean.
And my first...
that's monumental right there.
My first WrestleMania I actually watched all the way through was 11, so you know how I feel. Yeah, I can throw 11 in the trash.
You had nowhere to go but up.
Exactly, because I got into it, around that time, 94. 94 was when I got into it. I watched a lot of WCW, but, WrestleMania was already over at that point, so my first one was WrestleMania 11. But it's not sentimental enough to me to even put it in my top fucking 18 for the 18 WrestleManias. Because I love Shawn Michaels, you know this. So when Shawn didn't win the title when I was a kid, I was pissed. Absolutely pissed that he didn't beat Diesel. Bret Hart, he fought, Bob Backlund in an I Quit match. Terrible. It was a bad card.
Yeah.
Trying to pull it up. Here we go. Taker beat King Kong Bundy. Razor beat Jeff Jarrett. Snooze. Allied Powers beat the Blue Brothers. Terrible. Yeah. And LT and Bam Bam is the...
Short and sweet, too, didn't they?
Yeah. It's just so bad. But anyway, so, yeah, I could see why that would be sentimental to you. What was your favorite match on that card?
Which one, 6?
Yes.
I did like the Warrior Hogan match, but then, I had to say, now looking at the card, it was the Ultimate Warrior Hogan match, between that and the Hart Foundation.
Yeah, it was a great match.
I was pissed when Mr. Perfect lost, though. That pissed me off. I ain't gonna lie. That was his first loss, I think, to anybody, and it was to freaking Brutus Beefcake at WrestleMania.
Yeah, it's pretty shitty. Bear, what about you? What about what's your second?
My number 2 is 14. Tyson Austin, but Michaels Austin, which is great. And then Tyson knocking out Michaels. Just fantastic. Absolutely one of my favorite moments ever. Being a Stone Cold fan. That wasn't my first WrestleMania that I watched, but that was when I was still watching, or that was when I was just getting into Raw and all that. So Stone Cold is obviously my favorite. But going back and just rewatching that pay-per-view again, you get a lot of good matches on that. You start off with all tag teams in the ring, and then you come out with LOD 2000 to start off the pay-per-view with Sunny. Like, come on. There's no better way to start that. That was awesome.
But
they win it.
The shitty tag team that they fought.
What was that?
I said the terrible tag team that they eliminated last.
Yeah, the new Midnight Express.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was
Bodacious Bob or Bombastic Bob.
Right. Did you like Triple H and Owen, that match?
Yeah, I thought that was a great match as well. Undertaker Kane, I mean, that was amazing.
Yes.
The first one. And honestly, the New Age Outlaws, DX against Mankind and Terry Rose, Cactus Jack and Chainsaw in the dumpster match.
Yes.
A very underrated tag match.
Amazing.
Awesome match. And they had such a good build because that was when that was when the New Age Outlaws pushed them off the stage, and they were like Raw was shut down for like an hour, and that's all they did. It was crazy. So much of that.
And then
obviously Austin and Michaels was great, even though Sean was in a bad place, and I thought that was a hell of a match. That was amazing.
And I talked about it. If you've listened to Mike Tyson's book, that he got paid $6 million for that appearance.
I believe it.
They needed that.
They did. You're absolutely correct. Cody, what's your?
And I think the Ken Shamrock Rock match was underrated too. That's a feud to go back and watch if you want to watch something.
Yeah, that is a hell of a feud. I think the match could have went longer, unfortunately.
It was around 5 minutes, wasn't it? It was a short match.
It wasn't long.
Yeah, it wasn't long.
They had some good matches. That could have went a lot longer.
Yeah, that feud brought out one of the most brutal chair shots to me. Probably one of the most memorable chair shots.
When Shamrock,
I don't know if you guys remember that one or not. When The Rock hit Shamrock with the chair on Raw.
Yeah, he was on his knees. He just fell back.
Yeah, he was on his knees, and he told The Rock to hit him again, and he just fucking wailed on him one time.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was insane.
What's
all right? What are our number one?
Well, Cody, what's Cody's number 2?
Oh, you can get a number 2?
I did get my number 2.
That's what I thought. It was.
Yeah, my number 2 was 6. Yeah.
That's what we started with.
Oh, my bad.
My number 1 was 8. Yeah, my number 1 was 8, and then my number 2 was 6. Which kind of shows me how old I am, so fuck both of y'all.
All right, so
I'm talking about fucking WrestleMania 6 and WrestleMania 8, and 6 being my first one. And, you two were talking about double-digit WrestleManias being your first WrestleMania.
Yeah, right. 14 was. I also like 14. That'd come in at 3 for me. 2 was my 12 because of the importance it had to me. But number 1, we'll go. What do you got, Bear?
Number 1 for me was 17, no doubt.
Agreed.
The first big arena show since WrestleMania 3. I mean, I guess the Hoosier Dome, really, but from what you remember, 3. This sparked all of the big arena shows then from there on out, pretty much. I mean, it was phenomenal. I mean, the card was amazing. You start off with Jericho and Regal in a good match.
Yep.
Then you get Bradshaw in one of the best promos, I think, ever, when he's talking about all the stuff he saw in Texas and all that. The match sucked with right to censor, but it was just a pump-up match. The triple threat hardcore match was awesome. You get Angle and Benoit, Eddie Guerrero beating Test. I mean, it was just fantastic. Shane beating...
Those are some quarantine matches to watch, too, man. Even with Kurt Angle.
Oh, yeah. Angle killed it. TLC 2, I mean, that was on there, and that followed Shane and Vince after that whole big storyline ended. The Undertaker and Triple H was an amazing match.
That was the
Obviously,
first
Stone Cold
one.
Rock was great.
Yeah.
That Undertaker Triple H match is probably one of the most underrated Undertaker WrestleMania matches ever, by the way. That's a good one.
That was his first one.
Really good one.
Because he carried Triple H through that match. I'm not a big Triple H fan either, though. I don't know. To me, like, he does nothing for me. I don't know.
Who?
That was peak Undertaker.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That big evil dead man Inc. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna make you famous. Oh my gosh, that's probably one of my favorite incarnations of the Undertaker.
Yeah, that match was just fantastic. So 17, I mean, just the spectacle that it was, even the gimmick battle royal, I thought was great. I mean, the only reason why it's not it's not like literally the top, I would say it might be number 3 all time, close. But the only reason why it wouldn't be is because it was, and don't get me wrong, I like Paul Heyman, but JR and the King make it. JR and Paul Heyman, not so much. It was missing the King. That's what.
Yeah, it's just you can't get more iconic than that. That was the only thing missing from that WrestleMania. I mean, but Heyman and Jim Ross was good. I think Paul Heyman was more trying to be more combative, which kind of took away from it.
Yeah, I think he tried too hard.
Yeah,
and one of those things I want to mention when I went back and watched WrestleMania 12, like I said, I hadn't watched it in years. I forget how you forget about and how underrated Vince was as a commentator.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Vince was a great commentator.
What a maneuver! 1, 2, and no.
Yeah, he was very animated. I enjoyed Vince commentating. I really did.
Right, like he didn't know what you can tell he didn't really know all the moves, but he drew you in though. You were drawn in just by his enthusiasm.
Absolutely. So, that was fun to do. Next week we're going to while we do our WrestleMania picks. So the wrestling shows are going to be a little longer this week and next week, longer than the sports shows, which is rare for us. But with no sports right now, this is what we got. And so next week we're going to cover WrestleManias 19 through 35, and then after we're done with that, we'll give our picks for WrestleMania 36. And also, so we'll do on this day. So technically today, people listening to this, it is March 29th. So we're going to go back into the history machine. And 33 years ago today was WrestleMania 3. Of course, Hulk Hogan slamming Andre the Giant. Very important in history. In WrestleMania 14 was also on this day 22 years ago. And we just talked about WrestleMania 14. 21 years ago, I'm going to open this one up. It was Monday Nitro, 21 years ago on March 29th. So I'll just give you the card. Conan beat Vincent. Wrath beat Kenny Chaos. Rick Steiner beat Scott Norton. Booker T beat Chris Adams. Jericho beat Jerry Flynn. And Jericho left right after that, didn't he?
Which one?
This was on March 29th, 1999. Jericho left right after this. Like, literally.
I believe he did, yeah.
Buff Bagwell beat Norman Smiley. Billy Kidman and Rey Mysterio beat Chris Benoit and Dean Malenko. And Hulk Hogan beat DDP. Right.
Speaking of DDP, first WrestleMania appearance, WrestleMania 6.
Right, and then
driving the Cadillac for the honky tonk man.
Yes, he did. And let's go back on this.
And it was also Andre the Giant's last WrestleMania.
Huh. And then
WrestleMania 6. Yep.
Let's go to 2004, 16 years ago, Monday Night Raw. Nydia beat Molly Holly. Rhino beat Lance Storm. Batista and Flair beat Benoit and Michaels. Tajiri beat Kane, and Shelton Benjamin beat Triple H. And that was rated 3.5 stars. Shelton Benjamin and Triple H. And that was in Cincinnati, Ohio. A year later, we have SmackDown in the Reliant Arena in Houston, Texas. Danny Basham beat Eddie Guerrero. Terrible. Paul London won a battle royal for the Cruiserweight title. Booker T beat Luther Reigns. Doug Basham beat Rey Mysterio. Terrible, Danny and Doug Basham. Fast Eddie Vegas lost in 58 seconds. Wow, terrible. What is it, to Akabono? Is that right, Cody Bryant?
Yeah.
And then John Cena beat Carlito, or had a draw with Carlito. I'm sorry. That sounds awful. 2000, I'm going to skip Monday Night Raw. How about 2011 Impact from Orlando? Orlando Jordan beat Crimson, Doug Williams and Jesse Neal. Matt Hardy beat Kazarian. D'Angelo De Niro, Hernandez, and Jeff Jarrett beat Angle, Morgan, and Samoa Joe. Abyss beat James Storm. And Mr. Anderson ran a gauntlet. He beat Gunner, Rob Terry, Murphy, and Bully Ray. And then,
Yikes.
right, and then on this day as well, we also had a lot of things on this day as we get into WrestleMania season. A lot of things, of course, took place. I won't read about this one, but WrestleMania 31, I don't know if we'll cover it next week. There are a lot of matches on that card as well. But we'll talk about it. We'll save that for next week in case it gets brought up. WrestleMania 31. And then birthdays on this day. I don't know if we really have any. Michael Hayes.
Do.
61 years old on this day. And wrestlers that died on this day, actually, Reed Flair. Drug overdose, heart attack, 7 years ago.
Wow.
Crazy. So, like we tell our people, we're an hour and a half in. This was a fun one. I like that we can discuss wrestling of the past. So thank you again to Wes Anderson for Moments in Time. Check him out on Facebook, Wes Anderson Music. Give him a follow on Twitter at Songs by Wes. We apologize, of course, to Sparty Steve for not getting you on the show again. Thank you, though, for the lunch at episode 100. We don't know what we're going to do for episode 200 yet. Hopefully we're out of this corona thing 4 months from now. I know we're going to have to postpone our crossover with the grown-ups, which was scheduled for April 18th. We had talked about potentially doing the crossover for episode 200 if we get to that point. Do the trivia episode on episode 200 and just start drinking. I think that would be fun, and I hope we would be able to do that. So as always, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
WrestleMania 11 is the worst, and it's not even close.
The worst.